This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good morning, Tuscaloosa. Good morning, Tuscaloosa, Internet world, West Alabama. How we doing today on a Friday? It's the Football Friday edition of the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com. You guys are watching us on the Bama Central YouTube channel, listening to us on Apple Podcast, Amazon, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. You can find the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. We're proudly presented by Purple Turtle Roofing and by Derek Daniel State Farm Insurance. Make sure you check out our friends, Purple Turtle Roofing at roofturtle.com for all your roofing needs, residential or commercial, metal or shingle roofs. Purple Turtle Roofing can come out and take care of you and give you the peace of mind that you deserve. We appreciate them. Check them out at roofturtle.com. We're hanging out with my friend Theo Fernandez, and he is back and better than ever in the Southeast. Internet's looking good today. We can see you clearly. You're looking great. Follow him at Theo Fernandez _. How we doing, Theo? Great to see you. We got a lot to get into after yesterday's scrimmage.
We do. Fortunately, not able to make it in person. The van decided it didn't want to start, which I probably should have accounted for after not having driven it for 3 months. So that's an oversight on me, but it's doing better than those trucks that unfortunately had a rough crash. Last night, me and Joe sitting for 90 minutes in traffic in Tuscaloosa. We're doing better now, though. We're ready to get at it.
Yeah, absolutely. So glad that you're back in town, and I know that we'll get back together into the studio pretty soon. Once you get your car restarted. Look, if it's sitting there all summer, that's just part of it. It probably just needs maybe a spark plug or
a little jump, have the neighbors come by.
Yeah, exactly. It's all good. It'll be fine. We got a lot to get into, Theo. We have all kinds of scrimmage notes. The Crimson Tide scrimmage for about 2 hours yesterday inside Bryant-Denny Stadium, about 11:30 or so, and we heard from Coach DeBoer about 1:45 roughly. So Coach DeBoer came in, had his little press conference, and then really all the birdies started singing, "This is what happened. This is what happened." So lots of developments yesterday from the Alabama scrimmage. We can go running back. That's probably the point where we need to start because of the injuries. You got little issues with the running backs, but you have really strong notes from the defense, mixed notes, but positive notes from the quarterback. And so there's a lot to get into today with this scrimmage. Let's start with the running backs, though. Yesterday, Coach DeBoer came in and announced that AK Deer was having a really strong scrimmage, scored a touchdown, but then suffered an injury. Didn't really get into it any more than that, but what we've heard is that he was tackled from behind, an ankle, lower body, something in the from the hip down. But when you think about tackled from behind, I automatically take you back to last year's Missouri game where Jam Miller was kind of tackled from behind as he was going out of bounds, and that's how he rolled up his ankle really good, and that cost him significant time. His second injury of the year, and really his second ankle injury. So I think that, we don't quite know what's happened to AK Deer. We don't have the specifics, but what I have kind of been able to gather is I think it's an ankle injury. I don't think it's a knee injury. It could be, though. I'm not a doctor. We don't have the full diagnosis. I do think it's an ankle injury, and I think it's going to put him about on a 4 to 6 week timeline to return.
Yeah, I mean, it was just about inevitable that someone was going to go down in some way, right? It seems like that's the trend, especially with last year for Alabama football. So could be worse. Not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. And obviously we could be wrong on our timeline, but it does seem like that is the case right now.
4 weeks, I believe, puts us at the Kentucky matchup. Let's see. Let me double count us real quick. 1, 2, yeah. 3 weeks is East Carolina is the start. It is the first game, and then that fourth week is the Kentucky game. So we'll look for a more in-depth update from head coach Kalen DeBoer about his ankle, about his lower body injury, and that will give us a better determination of what his availability is. But just not hate it because apparently he was tearing it up. And really, I think EJ Crowell has been starting to come on and earn the trust of this coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, I came in and I said that my prediction from after the scrimmage was the biggest storyline was EJ Crowell would be the clear front runner to be the lead back. And it probably would have been the case had it not been for the injury. So Alabama will, presumably get him back, plenty of time to get him into the flow of things before the schedule really ramps up. But look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, right? Any issue, this is the last position where you want something like this to happen, right? With how much of an uphill battle you're already facing just to really have a competent running game, not where we want to have to be losing a key player before games even play.
Right, and that takes us right into the other part. EJ Crowell did not participate yesterday, and EJ Crowell has, quote, missed a few practices already, and he'll miss a couple more, but Coach DeBoer said won't miss any game time. All right, so Theo, 5-star superstar EJ Crowell misses all of spring. You're missing a little bit of fall already. Are we at the point where, because, okay, I'll just say it. I am at the point, and you can say if I'm being unfair, if I need to recalibrate, but I am at the point with EJ Crowell where I am sitting here thinking, all right, you probably should not count on him for much this season. Now, the talent is evident. The high school talent, absolutely evident, and like dripping off of the computer screen when you're putting on his highlight tape. Like, I mean, it is amazing. Like, I'm not trying to say anything negative about EJ's talent, about who EJ is, about how hard he works. None of that. What I am seeing is, okay, if you can't participate in spring because of small injuries and you're having little annoyances in the fall either, and you haven't played any college football and you haven't played in this system, how long is it going to take him to earn the trust of the coaching staff? He hasn't been able to show his ability. He hasn't been able to show his talent on the practice field. He hasn't been able to show, oh, this is what it looks like when you give me the football in an Alabama uniform. Really, to the extent or to the degree that he would like to during this period of practice, the spring and now this early portion of fall. So because of that, I'm thinking, okay, you're behind the 8 ball. I remember when Richard Young came in as a 5-star in the middle of the summer and could not get on the field that year as a freshman. Justice Haynes did get on the field because he was an early enrollee and earned the coaching staff's trust. Now we're in a different coaching staff, so obviously take that context into play. But I'm at the point with EJ where I'm like, I think whatever he's going to give you is a bonus because he's been so behind the 8 ball with availability and being able to practice that I don't know what you should expect from EJ.
All right, so right now we're operating under the timeline assumption that EJ is basically back as soon as possible, right? That he is a week from now out there on the field for scrimmage number 2. I will say that if there's any other setback at all, I will get in your camp with you, Joe. If he's not there on the scrimmage field a week from today, absolutely all in on your take. I don't think Alabama is going to be in a position where they can afford to not trust EJ. And that's what it's going to come down to. If we have this guy who's obviously missed a lot, right, is certainly behind the 8 ball, but gets himself into the flow of things, shows a couple flashes in this next scrimmage, which does appear like that will be his trajectory, they're not going to be in a position to not put him on the field. You are going to need him out there, and it is all just going to boil down to necessity. It is all going to boil down to, in my opinion, EJ going out there and showing the all-world talent that he has, and Alabama being depleted and flawed and struggling to the point where you have to put him on the field. I will also point to, it was an analogy that worked a little better before EJ had missed more time, but I made the comparison between him and Lazir Brooks a year ago, where Lazir Brooks missed a significant portion. I forget when exactly he got hurt last summer, but he was very out of the mix. He was in a boot. He wasn't able to play, and it didn't matter. And Lazir Brooks was not the talent that EJ was, right? Like, we didn't necessarily expect coming in that Lazir Brooks would have the season that he did, but at the end of the day, the little time that he had was enough for him to show, look, I need to be on this field. And you had other receivers who weren't necessarily able to get in the flow of things, and he was able to capitalize. I think Kalen DeBoer showed that if the freshman is good enough, if the freshman warrants being played, there's really no situation where he won't see the field. So in a world where EJ Crowell is back out there this week, these next couple days, I fully expect him, especially if AK Deer is not out there week 1, week 2. If you go up to your first SEC road game against Kentucky, I think EJ Crowell is taking relatively significant snaps. And if he's back this week, I think we'll look back at the end of the season and forget he was even hurt over the summer.
I sure hope so, because his hype train has already left the station, and like I see it. I mean, his talent is amazing, but I am a little bit concerned about his lack of availability thus far, and maybe I'm going to be proven completely wrong and fooled, be foolish as he rips off 700, 800, 900 yards as Alabama's number 2 running back. Who knows?
Alabama's number 2 running back is hitting 700 yards. I think we're all pretty happy with it.
Shoot, yes.
Alabama's number 1 running back needs to hit 700, and that might be a stretch. Yeah.
I'm hoping for 1150 out of the starting running back.
Out of one guy?
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, yes, I am hoping for 1150, but like, do I think that's realistic? No. But I'm hoping for that. I mean, take us all the way. Brian Robinson's got over 1,000 yards. I think Brian Robinson was a dog, but I don't think he was especially talented.
I think his offensive line was a whole lot more talented in this unit. And look, Joe, maybe I'm just a little more pessimistic than I'd thought, but if your lead back hits 900 yards, I'm considering that a success. I mean, a rousing success. Like, my expectations are not there at all, Joe. What did we talk about? What was the number with Texas? Was it, we made the Bama-Texas comparison last week?
Yeah, Texas was averaging like 135 last year, 140.
And Bama was around 125 a year ago?
No. Alabama was 104.1.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. Wow, I forgot how awful.
Yes.
Look, if you're
they didn't even average 100 yards against Power 4 competition. They needed the ULM game and Mercer. They needed those games to push the average to 104.1.
That's ugly. That is ugly. Look, if you're hitting 140, right? And Texas by no means had a great run game last year, right? You heard Texas fans complaining all season. Run game, not where it needs to be. It's holding the team back. If Alabama can get to that point where run game is just a minor inconvenience, where it's just, a little below average, I'm considering that a win for this football team, Joe, because I absolutely see the world where the run game is a lot closer to last year than even the below average benchmark.
Oh, unfortunately, I do too. I think at best you can expect 125. Like, anything past 125 a game is like, oh, thank you. Cherry on top, extra. I do think you can expect improvement, but not massive improvements, marginal improvements. Let's keep going with the running backs and spin into the last player that was really talked about yesterday. I mean, who knows who? Nobody's ever heard of you. Trayshawn Brown continues to be impressive every single time he touches the football. I think he's moving the football when he gets handoffs. I think he's effective in the passing game. You continuously hear Josh Jacobs comparisons. I get it, 3-star out of Texas, but I also see it in his game when you're able to see him play and see him wiggle and see him kind of shift around and glide around. Trayshawn Brown's gonna help Alabama get to that 125 per game.
I mean, it's fun that the last line on his bio on the Alabama website says, chose the Crimson Tide over Arkansas State, Navy, and North Texas. And now here he is, likely about to contribute as a true freshman. That's an impressive rise. That's an impressive recruiting job. I'm excited, Joe. I really I'm excited for what he can provide, but we also have to take it with the grain of salt, being that on certain Alabama teams, on certain SEC teams, this guy probably isn't even able to get himself into the mix. But if he's there and if he's producing, anything you can get out of him is just great. It's house money, Joe. It is.
We'll see how Trayshawn Brown continues to work his way into the lineup, but I would expect him to be sprinkled into the Alabama offense, throughout the season. As the season really gets started, it seems like they already sort of trust him a little bit. Wouldn't put him at number 1 or number 2, but I would expect him to be sprinkled into this Alabama offense throughout the year. All right, Theo, I guess we had to address the injury right off the bat, and that led us into the running backs, but we may as well move into the other main topic, and that is quarterback play. Quarterbacks. Austin Mack threw 3 touchdowns yesterday. Apparently, Keelan Russell threw multiple touchdowns as well. Both players threw interceptions. Austin Mack's interception came apparently on the very first play of the scrimmage. Apparently, you talk to some people, and it sounds like he ripped the ball to Marshall Pritchett from 5 yards away, from 7 yards away. That was coming in hot, and Marshall Pritchett popped the ball right up into the air and into the defense's hands. So, how do you grade an interception that pops off the receiver's hands? How do you grade that? And then you get Keelan Russell. Apparently, his interception ball was over the middle behind the receiver. Gets intercepted. Okay. But really, outside of those 2 turnovers, it seems like Alabama's offense played pretty cleanly, and both quarterbacks made some plays. Keelan Russell, his drives apparently were more sustained than Austin Mack. Keelan having more first downs, fewer punts, and so his drives were reportedly more sustained. I think that he Well, what I was told was that he used his legs to get out of the pocket a little bit more than Austin Mack did, and that was needed because the Alabama defensive line was absolutely wrecking shop against Alabama's offensive line. We can talk about that here in just a little bit, but it sounds like a lot of things that we already kind of assumed and knew played out yesterday, but Coach DeBoer came into the media room. Theo, did he give us a bunch of coach speak? Is this a bunch of hooey? He was asked, are you any closer to your quarterback decision? He said, no, I'm no closer. Was he lying?
I don't think so, because I think that everything that we've heard really, like you said, validates everything we'd believed coming in, right? The idea of Keelan Russell going out there and, making plays out of nothing, extending things with his legs, finding guys, having those cool throws. And I think this does lean towards the idea of Keelan Russell likely winning the job, which for me is where I've been for how long ago did Ty Simpson declare for the draft? We're at like 7 months now. I've been on the Keelan Russell train since then, really since before then, right? Anticipating Keelan Russell starting this year. I don't think anything's changed there, but I do think they are trying to do their due process. They are trying to reward Austin Mack's veteran experience and leadership as much as possible by giving him every last chance. So I really do think that we are going to let this drag out into the next scrimmage. We said earlier in the week, probably about a 10% chance that we get a starter named before the second scrimmage. And I still feel like we're exactly at that point. I don't think much has changed.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Theo. I think that they're going to continue to let this play out because I'm not sure that Austin Mack has really done anything wrong yet. I do think that Keelan Russell has shown his wow factor when the moment or when the situation is called for it. How do you judge the offensive line play, how it affects the quarterbacks yesterday? So and particularly against the Alabama defense. I think this is where the whole scrimmage discussion really takes off because okay, was Alabama's offensive line overwhelmed by Alabama's defensive line because the defensive line was so much better and is good and is going to be dominant this season? Or is the offensive line just still not good? And then you play that out, and you're like, okay, well, do you need to play a quarterback that can be mobile and escape, or when you're going up against these first 5 opponents, can you go through the growing pains on the offensive line and trust Austin Mack to deliver the football when he's got time, when he's got chances to punt the dadgum ball away, play field position, because this defense is so big, bad, mean, and scary that you're just going to play field position and defense, and Austin Mack's going to not have any real blow up moments. I think that how you view what the offense has to do is really kind of going to frame the quarterback discussion. Because if you think this offense has to put up 35 points a game, then yeah, you probably are going to go with the playmaker, the exciting prospect, the guy who can extend plays. But if you think this offense only has to score 24 points a game, you might go with the veteran leader because you're framing this because your defense. You think your defense is going to hold teams down to minimal points per game. I'm with you with the quarterbacks. I think it's going to go into next week, and I think it's probably even going to go into the season by just a little bit. I think after next week's scrimmage, he's probably going to let everybody know that we're starting Austin Mack against East Carolina, and it's basically like Austin Mack until we need to break glass, until it doesn't work, until we can't move the football, until we're in a tie game or we're down 10 or any of those circumstances, and then we break glass. Because if Austin Mack can keep the ship just cruising down the tollway, right? Then no reason to go away from him. So I think we are still playing this out, slow playing this out. I know a lot of people that we talked to yesterday just oozing over Keelan Russell. Keelan's going to be the starter. He's going to be the guy. He's the best quarterback we have. I know, like lots of people. He's the best quarterback you've got. He made the most plays. The offense looked like it was alive when Keelan was in there. I'm just wondering what the coaching staff really feels like the need to get out of the offense and how that frames the quarterback discussion.
Kind of on that note, I'm going to go in a bit of a roundabout way to answer that, but you've heard some exciting things about these guys up front, right? You've heard some exciting things about this defensive line. I am not going to buy into the Alabama front until I see them prove themselves against a good offensive line. I do not view the Alabama offensive line as a good offensive line. I am not going, or at least an offensive line that's proven itself. I am not going to buy into this Alabama defensive line being game wreckers, being a dominant force from anything that I see in this fall camp. So until I see that proven, right, I'm coming in with a bit of a flawed expectation from this defensive front. I think you have some nice pieces. I'm a little unsure about how everything will translate, what it'll look like on the field against Georgia, against a Texas A&M. With my point in saying all of that is that I don't think this defense is going to be an absolute juggernaut. I think we had this conversation earlier in the week, and I think it was a very good talk about what realistic expectations for this defense are. You have a good unit. You're very strong in certain areas. You also have young, unproven players and a lot of question marks in others. So I think you are ultimately going to need the Keelan Russell make special plays, because I think you are going to be in a position where your offense actually needs to win you games. Having a competent, good offense, consistent, okay, Austin Mack, just drive us, speed limits, 60, just drive us 55 and don't get us into any trouble. I don't think that's going to work. I think you're going to need Keelan Russell to, go 80, go take some risks, go make some stuff happen for you. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this defensive front really is special. Maybe, your $1 million addition up front is going to work like a charm. And maybe you filled in all these pieces and you have a unit that can win with Austin Mack just playing solid football for you. But I do not think that is going to be the case. Up your.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. So we'll bring in our man Cam Metzger, and from Facebook, he said, "Yeah, I am not buying into the defensive line hype yet. I personally think our offensive line isn't the best to go off of, and that's like the hardest part of the scrimmages. Is it really good defense or is it really bad offense? And then vice versa. When the offense has a really good play, was it really good offense or really bad defense? Uh, just kind of the way the flow of the scrimmage sounds like the defense really did dominate early in the scrimmage, but it sounds like the offense dug back in, and by the end of the scrimmage, it was really kind of going back and forth 50-50. So I mean, you'd expect the defense to be dominating early. But I am with Cam. Like, I think the offensive line, the question marks on the offensive line lend me to be more skeptical of the defensive line reports that we hear because, I mean, you've heard bigger, longer, meaner, older, more experienced, more aggressive, more violent, and all those things make me excited to hear. But then I look at the offensive line that they're going up against, and it's reworked this, and it's patchwork that, and it's inexperienced player this, and I just don't know that I really want to buy and believe the defensive line hype quite yet.
There is kind of a like comedic, ironic like aspect to it, where if the offensive line is good, you can have the pessimistic, oh, this defensive line can't even beat up the Alabama offensive line, and then the vice versa. Like, there's just, you can view it in any number of ways. You can view it as, oh, look, this defensive line is dominating. Or you can just say, oh, this offensive line is awful, can't even stop these guys. And then it's just, we don't know enough, frankly. And I know, like, we get reports, we get intel, we get information, but we don't know enough right now to give you a, chicken or the egg, which is it, which is, like, do we have two legitimately good units? Or are we just, watching two subpar units really, try to throw eggs at each other? We just don't know. And we won't until this team plays legitimate competition.
One thing that we haven't really focused on near enough this summer that I think we should just spend a little bit of time on is Kendrick Bingley-Jones. Because when he transferred in from Mississippi State, I was pretty underwhelmed. And I thought, I don't really know if he's what his role is going to be. Is he going to be coming in to start, or is he coming in to be a key backup? What's his role going to be? It sounds like he's coming in to start. It sounds like you have all three transfers up front: Devin Tompkins, Terrence Green, and Kendrick Bingley-Jones. Really. That's the starting defensive line right now. And London Simmons is right up after that. London Simmons and Jeremiah Beeman are right up after that. So just interesting to me because, I wasn't expecting much out of Bingley-Jones, but it sounds like he has come on and, seventh-year guy. You're taking a page out of the Indiana playbook. Go find the oldest bastards you can find and play them. So I just wanted to highlight that it sounds like Kendrick Bingley-Jones's role is really going to be that starting three technique.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I didn't have that on my bingo card coming in. I don't think anyone did, but both Mississippi State guys starting for this team. Who would have thought?
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. How good or bad? How bad was Mississippi State last year? I don't know if I love that. Also on the defense, we talked a little bit the other day about inside linebacker competition, but I think that you basically got two right now solidly. I mean, we already knew Caleb Woodson was going to basically be the Mike, but Luke Metz apparently played stinger all day yesterday, sideline to sideline. At Coach DeBoer giving him a shout out in the post scrimmage press conference. We've loved Luke Metz on this show already for a long time, and I think that he is about to introduce himself to the SEC as a real bad mother bleeper. And so I don't think that QB Reese is not going to get playing time, but I think QB Reese is now – I think QB has fallen behind the Luke Metz and Caleb Woodson's by just a little bit. And so QB will – I think QB is going to be the first one getting thrown out there when somebody needs a break. But I think you pretty solidly got two inside linebackers in Caleb Woodson and Luke Metz.
Yep.
All right, the last little piece on the defense that I heard, and then Theo, I want to kind of set up your note right here that you put in here. By going back to the second note that's on our sheet. The last little piece on the defense is Ivan Taylor. Ivan Taylor apparently got a lot of playing time yesterday, and I really was expecting him to be a key backup, but it kind of just based on yesterday and what we've kind of been hearing. I wonder if he's here to snatch Keon Sabb's chain. If he's here saying, "I'm taking your job, Keon Sabb." It sounds like the two were about 50-50 is to start playing safety yesterday. And so Ivan Taylor, I think you should consider him for a larger role. And Jair Edwards as well. It sounds like Jair Edwards is getting a lot of run yesterday. So we talked a few weeks ago about which secondary members, which backup secondary members would be pushing for playing time. I think you're definitely looking at a trio of Ivan Taylor, Jair Edwards, and Carmelo O'Neal as your primary three substitutes in the defensive back room. And I think all three of those guys are pretty highly thought of right now. I mean, unproven, definitely unproven, but I think the ceiling is very high for all three of those players.
Yeah, I agree. This is a really interesting, potential, wouldn't call it a position battle, but maybe a place where we didn't really think to look that much over the summer. We've talked ad nauseum about how deep this secondary is, but it's always been under the assumption that, Keon Sabb is one of your starters, right? Keon Sabb is the guy at this position. Keon Sabb is a nice football player. Keon Sabb has been consistent. He's been solid when he's been on the field. But you do have to kind of just sit around and wonder, we know what Keon Sabb is at this point. How does this position elevate when you put in someone with the talent of Ivan Taylor? Is there another level that can be reached? And look, Jair Edwards is one day, I think, going to far surpass what Keon Sabb is right now. And look, Jair Edwards, my expectations for him next year, 2 years from now, are just sky high, astounding. I think he has the potential to be the best safety in college football at his peak. He's not there right now, but you do have to wonder is how much he sees the field right now, where Ivan Taylor is, because I think Ivan Taylor is another high ceiling guy. I think Ivan Taylor is a guy who could very easily start next year. And I think Ivan Taylor would be starting at a good amount of Power 4 programs across the country. So I do think it will be Keon Sabb with his veteran leadership, with his experience that is taking the bulk of the snaps, but maybe not. Maybe there's more rotation there than we would have thought coming in.
Well, Coach Womack has played revolving door defense for a long time, not meaning by yards, but on the sidelines. It's a revolving door in and out of the lineup. So I think the defensive back room, I think we're pretty spot on with our feelings about the defensive back room being very strong. And it seems like the primary backups are taking shape. All right, Theo, I want to set up your last note by going all the way back to the top of the sheet and talking about Lazier Brooks. We mentioned it at the very, very beginning of the show, A.K. Deer's injury, and kind of gave our kind of prognostication on that. Obviously, take that with a grain of salt because we are not doctors and we're just gathering a bunch of hearsay. But Lazier Brooks also did not scrimmage yesterday. It sounds like EJ Crowell, Lazier Brooks, and obviously Noah Rogers did not participate in the scrimmage. And so putting it through the lens of Lazier being out, and Noah Rogers being out. And so your wide receivers are Ryan Coleman-Williams, are Derek Meadows, are Rico Scott, and Sedarian Morgan, basically. It sounds like Ryan Coleman-Williams had himself a good little day, got himself into the end zone. It sounds like Derek Meadows also caught a touchdown pass. So nice on that. But it sounds like the tight ends are all over the field, snagging all kinds of underneath balls and all kinds of just check down Charlie. There's Marshall Pritchett. Oh, there's a Caleb Edwards. I'll take 4 yards and turn it in and fall forward, turn it into 6. And now it's 2nd and 4 instead of, incomplete pass. So Theo, I just want to take you back to your bold take a couple of days ago that I thought was honestly outrageous. And now hearing more, hearing what happened yesterday, and then thinking, well, if you do have injuries in this wide receiver room, which obviously you hope everybody's healthy. What I've heard about Lozier Brooks are two different things. I have heard concussion, minor, and the other story I have heard is walking boot, minor. Is small precautionary walking. So I don't know whether it's concussion or whether it's lower body injury. I'm sorry. I've heard two different stories from a bunch of different people. But either way, the bottom line is nobody thinks it's serious. Nobody thinks it's going to last into the season. And Coach DeBoer said that as well yesterday. Said short term should be fine. But if you do have Noah Rogers, he's not going to be back till half the season or so. If one of these receivers goes down, if two of these receivers go down, I mean, Theo, even if they don't go down, I think your tight end take may be a lot closer to being spot on than I was originally giving you credit for. I thought it was outrageous when you said the collective group would have 75 receptions, but now maybe you're spot on.
I do feel good about it, Joe. I think that you can make the case, no matter who the QB is, that these tight ends are going to play a big role, that these tight ends are going to be the best friends of either quarterback. And look, especially, obviously if you start with, on your very first play, an interception going off the hands of Marshall Pritchett, it doesn't set a great tone for the room, but it clearly didn't factor in for the quarterback. Like, they were clearly still, trusting these guys, giving them balls. And I'd see no reason for that to change at any point this season. I think you, first of all, have a good amount of talent there. I think Caleb Edwards is a guy that I'm extremely high on. And then you just have consistency in the room, right? You have, just guys who are competent SEC tight ends who are able to get you those couple yards, who are able to be your little safety blanket back there, when you need to get a ball out. And I don't know exactly how good Marshall Pritchett is going to be, how good Jay Lindsey is going to be, how good, if he's on the field, Danny Lewis Jr. is going to be. But I think you have, and Josh Ford, I think, is primarily out there as a blocker, but could factor in a little bit as well. It's just, you're going to want to go to these guys pretty regularly throughout the season. I feel good about my take. I think we're going to see them be pretty active in the pass game. And look, 75, we talked about it when I made the prediction. We were at, if I'm not mistaken, 48 tight end receptions in 2024 and then 62 tight end receptions last year. You're taking another leap of, maybe another 15 receptions, and you're going to hit that 75 number. Don't condone gambling. I don't know if you can bet on tight end receptions, but if you want to impress your buddies, you tell them, 75 receptions from these tight ends. And that's take that'll age well. Just follow my lead here.
It sounds like they're pretty heavily involved in the passing game, so I'll look forward to seeing that continue in fall camp. The guys are off today, and they're off on Saturday. They're going to come back, on Sunday. Let me make sure my list is right. On Sunday is going to be the next practice. We are going to get one more practice viewing, and it'll be on Monday. We'll have practice viewing on Monday. We'll have Coach Grubb on Monday, Coach Womack on Tuesday. We'll get to talk to players on Wednesday, and then we'll have a second scrimmage next Thursday. So it's going to be a big week next week, but we're basically rounding out the week right here with the end of the scrimmage yesterday. Theo, you didn't get to talk about Jaden Daniels yesterday, so if you want to, we can bring that up if you want. More clarity just to everybody who listened to the show yesterday. It wasn't necessarily about the number 5 jersey that was given out to DJ Pickett. It sounds like Jaden Daniels is trying to be a shark businessman, and his NIL agreement ran out with LSU. Some 120 days, 180 days after he left LSU. But LSU still uses him in promo material, which, of course, you won a Heisman Trophy, you would use him. And he just wants to renegotiate and get into a contract with LSU to scoop some NIL rights for using his photos and using his Heisman highlights, all that sort of stuff. Where did you land? I know we missed you yesterday, but as that was all unfolding, it did spend the whole dadgum day unfolding. What did you make of the Jaden Daniels LSU stuff?
It's absolutely ridiculous. I cannot believe that this is something that an LSU legend, that someone who should be loved by the fan base, is choosing to do. Like, this just feels like an absolute active destruction of your own legacy at a school that should love you forever. It's bizarre to me, but it's also something that I wouldn't be surprised if we see happen again now, or if, maybe star players are going to, when they're doing their NIL contract negotiation, saying like, oh, I want, an incentive or a retired jersey in the future, or, if I come in here and win a Heisman, you guys have to retire my number, or you can't use my name. It is bizarre, but it is a very on point storyline given what has happened to the world of college sports over the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. So he put out a statement late yesterday saying that he's focused on the Commanders and that this is his team handling this, and he is really about respect, this, that, and the other. I'm not the bad guy. Don't hate me. Sorry, buddy. I think that horse has left the barn already. The LSU fans are like, what in the world? So that's pretty much going to do it for our show today. We'll get into all kinds of Alabama football stuff on Monday, getting you ready for the third week of fall camp. Theo, anything you want to leave the people with for the weekend? Make sure you follow Theo Fernandez at Theo Fernandez _. Leave us a voicemail at 205-462-7340, extension 800. Anything else you want to say, Theo, or are we going to tell everybody goodbye?
No, we can tell everyone goodbye, and we can also, if you want to get a little excited, tomorrow marks 3 weeks until Alabama's opener. We're here. 21 days. Next weekend is going to be your last weekend without college football. I mean, we've survived.
Lots of football last night. Bears play tomorrow at noon. Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson, you're going down, massage man.
I can't believe Deshaun Watson might be a starting quarterback in 2026. I am stunned.
Hopefully the Bears can embarrass him enough tomorrow that they reconsider that decision. But that will do it for our show today. We appreciate everybody for watching us on the Bama Central YouTube channel, for watching us on the Bama Central Facebook page. You're listening to us. You did listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify. Send the show to your friends as the season gets ramped up. We would appreciate that. We love new listeners. We're getting a lot of them, and we cannot wait to talk to you again next week on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com.